Hey guys, just popping in with the third in our series of crew interviews. This time we are hearing from Raleth. I'm just going to let Jeff and Casey take it away, but I will remind you ahead of time that neither of them has been sworn in prior to this recording, so nothing you'll hear today is admissible in a court of law.
So this probably happens on a bi-weekly to monthly basis, I would say.
Okay. It's probably something that Raleth tries to make himself really comfortable about. Like, he probably has a drink in his hand. He might have some chips, some gourd chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With gourd dip.
And it's something he just kind of relaxingly, kind of just like, he's just, to him, he's just shooting the shit and kind of just taking advantage of his ability to relax for once in his life.
Right. Well, Molly subtly emotionally manipulates him for her own ends.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's good times.
We both benefit. It's all good.
Right. So, sick bay is fairly boring, but maybe for these things like put up a couple posters or play some music or, make it a little cozier. Drag some of the bean bags over from the goat. And
yeah, we probably have some Akashic posters that, like, when you start looking in those spectrums, like, they kind of like move around and dance a little bit for you.
Except for the ones that just watch you.
Except for the ones that just watch you. Right.
Yeah. So once they're settled in, Molly kind of sets up the thing that's going to sort of record Raleth's, I guess, just sort of trail over his body, because the way his memory works, as I understand it, and this is your thing, so tell me if this is right.
No, the way that you were describing it earlier is pretty much exactly it. Oh. His memory is kind of built into his body.
Okay, so she's essentially doing full body scans as a means of kind of charting brainwaves and activation of memory centers as he's talking. So it's this. I'm thinking it's like this little round orb that just kind of drifts from like the top of his head down to his feet and back up again, and it sort of shines this like bluish light that sort of appears on a flat plane. So there's like one slice of him that's being recorded at any given moment, almost like an MRI or a CT or something.
Is this a Molly invention, or is this a Chimera like piece of equipment?
This is probably a Molly invention that was designed specifically for this purpose. So is taking Raleth's species physiology into account to some degree in order to like record these things.
Cool.
So Molly kind of settles in, and she has her goggles on, and now that she has an Akashic spectrum, has flipped to that. And she has this little notebook where she tends to take notes, but it's always blank. And she writes down on it with a pen, but nothing ever shows up because it's basically just a digital page that she can see through her goggles, but no one else can see.
Oh, that's cool.
So it gets uploaded, and she's got all these digital notebooks, but she only ever uses one actual physical notebook that just like the same page over and over again. So she opens that up, and she makes sure Ralph sort of has his drink in hand and he's comfy, and she says, "So I was thinking today we could talk about Shambor."
That's cool. But I was thinking probably not.
Well, you say that every time.
Well, I mean, there's not much to say. I don't remember too much from that time. Not much to say at all.
Okay, well, let's back up a little bit then. Tell me about your firm. Tell me about the place you worked.
Oh man, I mean, those were the days, weren't they? I mean, I suppose you don't remember, but I mean, really, that was me at the top of my game. If only you guys could see me back then. I mean, I had that entire region under my thumb. Partner at the firm, more wins than you could shake a stick at. I mean, everybody looked up to me back then.
Yeah.
It was good times.
Yeah. So, what was the case you're most proud of?
Oh man. I mean, I was proud of all of them. I take a lot of pride in my work. That's one of the things that makes me such a good lawyer. But I think of all of those cases, it was the case of Yog Shoggoth, I think, versus, I mean, it was basically the entire 2048 sector. Basically, all of their living crops on all of those planets stopped working, and they just started producing this kind of inedible like sludge, which really, really hurt the economy over there. And they wanted to blame it on my client, and sort of his mark was kind of on it. Like if I had come out of this and just looked at it dispassionately from somebody else's perspective, I would say, yeah, it was probably Yog. I mean, that's kind of how these things tend to go. He's got his own little signature, and then it was kind of all over the place. But System 24 really didn't have their ducks in a row when it came to bringing it to the Galactic Court. And I mean, it was just me manning a Gatling gun just all over those guys. I mean, there was blood and guts everywhere. They really didn't know what hit them. They really should have armored up, but they didn't. And yeah, I mean, it really should have been a slam dunk case for them.
Hold on.
What?
I just want to clarify. Are you Gatling gun? Is that metaphoric?
Oh no. That's how they do it in 24. It's kind of a weird system. You're allowed to bring your own ammunition, but they provide the Gatling guns. Yeah, I mean, you can equip yourself however you want to. Thankfully, my firm had a nice big blast shield for me. It'd been a little bit used, but otherwise it held up real good. And I mean, I don't know, 24, I feel bad for them. But yeah, I mean, they just didn't know how to play the game right.
So your firm primarily defended like elder gods?
Well, I mean, it was elder gods were kind of like our big payouts, but anything in the Akashic Bleed, we would take their case if we thought it was a winnable case or something that would kind of, I don't know, give us a little bit of cachet in the galactic sphere. We specialized in Akashic problems, but I mean, there's a couple times we took on some more, I guess you'd call it terrestrial kind of problems. That was more for the associates, though. Not the partners kind of dealt with the big guys. Sure.
So, when you were assigned to, Shambor, so what was the premise of that? What was the accusation?
I mean, I don't know. We're back on Shambor again. I don't remember.
You don't remember anything from the beginning, even before the.
I mean, scan me right now. Like you don't see any memories, do you?
Well, I mean, I can't see it until I watch the recording, so I just have to take your word for it right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you'll see a big blank there, just like I do. You know it's weird for me to talk about. I remember everything else except for that case. So, what do you remember about it? I mean, is there anything? I mean, I guess there was a little something there. It was it was an elder. It might have been he might have been referred to us by Yog. I think maybe, but I mean, I can't tell you much more than that. It's, I mean, I can tell you a bit about Shambor, right? Like their legal system was all wrapped up in mech to mech combat, which is where Moonin comes from. But I mean, I really I don't even remember what happened there.
What's the first thing?
I just remember the screams. I remember all of the screams. The screaming that never stops. I mean, obviously I can't forget it every time I step out of this goddamn ship. That's what's in my head, but I don't know why. I don't know why all of that pain and that horror and that terror they just don't know where it comes from.
What's the first thing you do remember after the point where you stopped remembering?
I mean, I remember just kind of floating around in space for a while. It was inside Moon, and kind of thought that it was over. I was pretty far away from anywhere on the bones, and Moon didn't seem to have much power left. I kind of thought, it was kind of all over. But then this freighter came out of nowhere, picked us up, tried to salvage us. Moonin did some pretty amazing things, grabbed some power from those guys, shot us out, and then that's how I got back to the bones. But yeah, that's the first memory I have. I have no idea how long I was out there for. Moonin won't tell me.
Did you try to go back to your old farm?
Oh, no. Stuff like that doesn't happen without getting erased. That's the last place I want to go.
So, I mean, is it risky for you to be kind of lawyering around considering what happened on Chambord?
Well, I mean, it's why I stick to those small cases. I got to get by somehow. That's the only thing I know how to do. So, I mean, yeah, if I, started out my own firm and started representing some Akashic customers, then yeah, I might be taking some risks. But I think I'm fine right now. Just keep it small, keep it simple. Don't sign my own name to things. It's usually pretty good.
Yeah, you're real good at not signing your own name to things.
Make a few bucks here and there. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay. So what was it like living in the Akashic Bleed?
Oh man, I gotta say I miss it. It's this place is so boring out here sometimes. You've got all these planets that just kind of hang out for billions of years. Like, I don't know how you guys deal with it. Every day is kind of an adventure out in the Bleed. Like, you get some really cool customers, some really weird guys, but like they're all in it together. You know what I mean? It kind of brings a group. When all of your eyes start bleeding and then your face starts falling off, it's one of those things that that other guy's face is falling off too. It's something you can't get out here when everything's so stable.
Yeah, I guess that must suck, your face not falling off so much anymore.
Well, I mean, you learn how to deal with it. It comes back usually.
The face?
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah, there's some unlucky people, but I mean, usually that's because, an elder god rolled over in his sleep, and then you just, that there's all sorts of legal things you can do to be made whole again if your face is missing. It's all good. There's checks and balances out there.
So what was like an average day for you when you were working for the firm?
Well, I mean, I know I try to, I make it sound pretty glamorous when I'm, reminiscing. But, I mean, honestly, it's just me looking at paperwork all day long, legal notepads, lots of pens. We do our research in the dungeon. That's a pretty dark place sometimes. You gotta understand how to, I don't know, we don't have exactly a Dewey Decimal System, if you know what I mean. It's all about, force of will and making sure that you're calling out to the right books at the right time. There's some, weird shit down there in the dungeon.
That says a lot, I think, considering the face melting and all.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those places I think you totally get a kick out of, Molly. If we were back in the Bleed, we should totally drop by a firm and I'll show you the dungeon. But yeah, it's I gotta warn you, I don't know if your brain will handle it.
I'll see if I can, build something for to make that a little more likely. Because I like my brain.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a trip for you. I think it'd be a trip for you.
Yeah, we should do that. Sounds like fun. Well, I think that's pretty good for this go round. Anything else you want to say or want to ask?
Man, I don't know. You just gotta hope that those eyes don't open up. That's all I'm saying. Just gotta hope those eyes don't open up.
Yeah. Whose eyes?
Huh?
Whose eyes shouldn't open?
What do you mean?
So did you just say something about eyes?
No?
Oh. All right. Well, same time week after next?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll be here.
All right. Molly reaches over and kind of turns off the little orb, which makes a little like power down sound and settles on the floor.
Yeah, Rowleth kind of sits up a little bit, stretches out, grabs another chip, hops off the table. It's pretty far down to the floor. Then he grabs a bowl of chips, grabs his drink. It, of course, has a little umbrella in it, and is like, all right, Molly, well, I'm going to go up to the kitchen. You want me to grab you anything?
Yeah, I've been thinking I might want to try one of those weird meat gourds, like if you grill the meat.
If you grill the meat?
Yeah.
Man, you humans are weird. But okay, we can try it.
So after Eleth goes, Molly's just going to upload the page that she was taking notes on, and it's basically just a sketch of the Akashic lines that have been coming off of Rowleth the whole time, and somehow like interconnecting him between his anklet and Munin, wherever she is in the ship. And she just kind of like taps her pen to the page and says, yeah, that's going to be handy.